Hey everyone, I'm Lindsay Hoffman and welcome to the Dose of Bliss show where I bring the best people to you to share their daily doses of bliss with you. Today, I am so excited. We have a special guest in the house. She is a star from Basketball Wives. We have OG.
Hey, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Yay, thank you.
Because normally I'm an entertainment reporter and a gossip reporter, and now I'm a motivational reporter.
Oh, wow.
As well up here. So that's where we met before. I work with Us Weekly and Lifestyle Magazine, but I've always wanted to do motivation. So this is like, you're the first person I have on the show where those two worlds collide.
Oh, wow. That's a big responsibility, but thank you.
No, I'm excited because it's like, I want to show that there's really good people in this industry.
Absolutely.
And there's more to it than what people think. So my first question I want to start you with is, being a reality star, how do you deal with that? Being in the public eye, and, you know, reality shows are all about drama and people fighting. And we deal with that in real life, but we're not magnified on a screen.
Right.
So how do you deal with it?
Well, it's not easy. I'll start with that. It's definitely not easy being a public figure, having your whole life under a microscope for the world to kind of just scrutinize and pick apart. I like to do what's called woosah, where I take a deep breath before I go into scene. I hang up whatever problems I have in my outside life and just deal with the task at hand, which is interacting with my other ensemble cast members. Because at the end of the day, we have a fan base that wants to see us in our rawest form. And I try to deliver that. I try to stay true to myself. I try to talk about the uncomfortable topics, be myself to the best of my ability. And it's kind of like, if they love you, they love you. And if they don't, they don't. But at the end of the day, I can sleep well at night knowing I was me. You know what I mean? So find a healthy balance.
Do you ever come home from the drama and just feel sad? You know, because I've dealt with that in my regular life. I come home and you think about it at night and you're just like, I don't want to like go outside today. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to confront people anymore.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like when something dramatic happens in scene and you're on your way home, you're thinking about it. You get home, the adrenaline starts to die down, and then you kind of are like, okay, you make peace with whatever happened. It's not until it takes to social media, till the rest of the world, then you got to relive it again. And I think that's what compounds it. That's what makes it something where you have to make sure you know who you are if you're going to do something like this, because it can tear you apart. The ridicule, the negativity can tear you apart, but then there's also positive stuff. And the uplifting things is what keeps me going. The nice stuff, the nice comments, the we love you, OG, we can see that you're a beautiful person. That's what makes me want to keep doing it over and over again, because at the end of the day, the positive always outweighs the negative.
So you said you do like a woosah before the scenes. What do you do when you go home? Like, you see a negative comment or a negative thought, and maybe you feel that feeling that's starting to get to you. Is there a process you go through to stop that from happening?
Oh, yeah. I have a huge social media process. Like, for one, if I read a comment and the first few words start off negative, it's a delete and a block immediately. Like, my social media platform, your social media platform, any celebrity or person just out there, we don't create these platforms for people to bash us. So I'm not going to allow that type of behavior to happen. If it's really negative or very nasty, I just block it. That way I don't have to see it. I don't have to wake up to bar faces every morning. You know, nobody really wants that. We want to stay positive. So I try to filter out the nasty stuff. If it's loving, if it's positive, I'll respond. And that's what helps me go. Because, like, honestly, I couldn't focus on the negative all the time. I just couldn't.
It's true. You get what you put out there, because if you continue to respond to those comments, which some people do, until they learn to stop it, you start feeling that way, and it's just a cycle of feeling negative. But if you have a platform where it's more positive, you start to be in that mindset all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what makes me, and I'm pretty sure you've had to do this, where it's like, okay, yeah, we have our off days. Like, we're human. Like, my hair is not going to be perfect. My makeup's not going to be perfect. My attitude might not even be perfect for any given day. But if you allow me to redeem myself, or to allow the story to play out, then you'll get to the core of that person and you'll realize that they're a good person. It's just, we kind of have a microscope on top of us. So I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, being patient with it is what it sounds like. How do you be patient with it? Because you're a really great example, because in, I guess I'll say, normal person life, you're a normal person. But someone who's not on TV, something will happen and people will want to talk to their friends, or they want to say something, or maybe they're in a relationship with a boyfriend, they got in a fight, they want to text them too soon. But in reality, it's important to be patient and let it play out. How do you do that? Because it's more extreme for you, because maybe you let it play out, then it plays out again on TV, and then you have to do it all over again in the public eye. How do you just sit back and stay calm and not let it get to you?
You hit it on the nail with the word patience. Like, I cannot talk about something that happens on the show until it plays out publicly. So you have to exercise a great deal of restraint, a great deal of like, okay, I know this happened. I have to wait now because there's an editing process. So I have to now wait to see what the world gets to see and then counter what they saw versus what really happened and find a happy medium. And I'm trying to do a great job at that. And I hope I'm doing a decent job, but I only know until like people say, well, maybe you shouldn't have said that, or girl, you are definitely like dragging the crap out of that other girl. It's like, yeah, sometimes we have to like vent in the way that we feel necessary, but then you have to pull back and say, this too shall pass, and just go on off to sail in the sea, you know?
Before you were on a reality show, would you have dealt with these processes differently? Like, were you as patient before as you've learned to be now?
I think what I did before prepared me for reality TV. I was a female football player. I worked at Hooters restaurant. I've been,
You're like,
I was a car salesperson. You know what I mean? I've been in these situations where I've had jobs that made me have to deal with either scrutiny or different personalities in a way that the average person doesn't have to. So that kind of set me up for reality. Not to talk about I went to private school. So that helped me a lot because I can't tell you, having a vocabulary is key because you don't always get to use your hands. So being able to articulate what you want to do or how you want to do it, and most people don't know how to do that. It's kind of like an extra like lethal weapon that I just keep in my back pocket, you know.
Okay, you're like, oh, you wait, I'm gonna get you with your own words.
Exactly,
I do that too. People, when they fight with me,
exactly.
I'm like, here's a screen grab of the conversation and all the details and blah, 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 and they'll be like, I can't fight with you. And I want to get to that after my next question about like being open and how to talk properly. So you were saying that all these jobs that you had prepared you to deal with other people. I think that's a really big thing to touch on because when I was little and kids were mean to me, I grew up in like a town where everybody was just mean.
Wow.
Think like how you would imagine mean people in Beverly Hills or something to be. That was what the town was like. But I remember my mom always telling me, well, this is going to prepare you to deal with people in the future.
Absolutely.
Because now I work in Hollywood, and when people are mean, I'm like, oh, I already dealt with this.
Yeah.
In junior high, like this is the same thing. And people don't see it that way. So how did you get that mindset? And what's your tip for what comes at you in life, how to use it for your future?
Well, I really think that it begins with who you are, what your culture is, and how you grew up. Like, I always talk about growing up Africa because my parents are African, and it's quite different than having a parent that was already born in the States. They had a completely different upbringing. And so it's like the merge of the two where I got their harder upbringing plus our luxury upbringing that we have in the States, and then merging it to prepare me to be a better woman, to understand the next person. For me, whenever I would see someone bullying someone growing up, I was like, nope, this is not going to happen. You are not going to bully people, because that's just how my personality naturally was. So then I was popular because I played sports and all that great stuff. But then I was also like the person who protected the people who were getting bullied. So like I bullied the bullies. You see what I'm saying? So like that helped. And then going into private school and being able to have to focus on my education helped me be able to use my mouth versus being physical with people. And I think that's really important, because if you get in a situation where it's hostile, or where your boss doesn't like you, or where your coworkers are kind of picking at you, you need to know how to articulate how you feel before you do any type of action. Because if you just react, then it's like, well, I don't know where this is coming from, girl. I told you over and over again, you're picking at me, or I told you, like, stop making me feel this way, or stop pretty much breaking me apart. And then you explode. It's like, you at least know where it's coming from. This is not some built up thing. It's been process after process, and then now, kaboom. So.
That's you. That's how I am too. How do people do that though? Because something like that comes naturally for me to explain how I feel, and something like that comes naturally for you. But I've met so many people who just say yes to everybody all the time, and then all of a sudden they'll blow up at you because in their head they didn't really want to do it. It could be something as small as that. They didn't want to go to dinner, but they said yes, and all of a sudden a year later they're mad at you, being like, everything has to be your way. We go where you want, and all you could have said is, no, I don't want to eat there. And you think it's so simple. So what are things people can do to speak up like you?
Well, that's it right there. You have to speak up. You have to say it when it happens. Like, I'm a strong believer in not allowing something to build up over and over and over again, because then you lose sight of the details. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, what you just said right now, it's driving me crazy. It's just like, If it happens, I give like 24 to 48 hour turnover where you get to voice how you feel. And after 3 to 4 days, if you're still holding on to something, that's not healthy. And my friends know this, like my true core friends, they know, like, if you got a problem with me, you better tell OG right away. Let her know, because then she'll address it right away and then we'll go over details. If not, it's like, girl, what? You know how much has happened in the last 48 hours? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And furthermore, it's under the bridge. But unfortunately, on reality TV, you don't get that. You do not get to just let it die. You're either asked multiple times to talk over something, to rehash it, to relive it, because we have to make sure that the audience gets to see every little detail that is supposed to be exposed, versus in real life, you get to deal with it right away and really truly move on and apologize with no Instagram and no Twitter feedback. So
I think, though, I noticed this being a reporter too and interviewing people, learning how to answer these questions, because I have to, on the red carpet, ask people a lot of questions that they probably don't want to answer. And sometimes they don't want to answer and they just say, oh, this question's inappropriate. I don't want to talk right now.
Right.
How do you build up that confidence to say that? Because when I am interviewing people, I'm taking notes on the other end, being like, wow, I don't always have to answer a question that somebody asked me. I don't have to be nervous about it. I don't have to take it offensively. I could just say, I don't want to answer that question
Absolutely.
right now. So how do you learn that?
Absolutely. You have to pretty much monitor the nonverbals. You can tell a lot about a person before they even open their mouth. Their demeanor, their behavior, the eye contact. If people start paying attention to those minute details, you'll realize, I think this question just made this person uncomfortable, or am I about to ask an uncomfortable question based off of just the situation? And then from there, that's the only like real narrative, because anyone can say anything and you can't predict a reaction. So that's the best advice I could give, is just look at the nonverbals. If somebody's already said that they don't want to talk about something, cool. But if you don't know, you have to try. You have to shoot your shot and you have to say, hey.
And the reverse as well, though, is how do you have that confidence? Because sometimes people just want to respond. Like me, if someone asks me a question I don't want to answer, most of the time I'll still try to answer it, because you're being asked so fast that it's not on the, like a celebrity, it's on the tip of their head. They're well trained. Right. They know they can just have, next question, or this isn't appropriate, go on with my day. It's not going to bother them. Me, someone asks me a question, I'll probably say too much. I'll go home, get angry, and be like, why didn't I just like set my boundary? So how do you set your boundaries?
I came out the womb saying no. So I'm a different kind of mold. Like, honestly, like, I just don't like people making their fire drill my fire drill. So if somebody asks me something and I don't feel like this is information I want to divulge, I'm going to say, no, thank you. Like, or no, I'll pass. I'll plead the fifth. And if I do want to tell them, I word it in a way that's comfortable for me. So I give out the details that I want to give out without having to elaborate, because everybody knows once one question comes and you answer it, then there's a follow-up question, and then there's a follow-up.
That's so true, though. And I mean, it's same in the public eye, same for the regular life. And I love your tips for that. So what is advice that you'd want to give to your younger self that you've learned through all of these experiences?
What I would tell my younger self is, first, I'd give myself a round of applause.
Oh, that's a good one. Everyone should do that.
Yeah, I would give her a round of applause, and I will tell her, keep staying strong, that everything that has happened to you now was for a reason, and it started when you were born. So don't give up, keep going, and it's always going to be a potluck at the end of that rainbow.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Exactly.
Well, we only have a few minutes left, so is there anything that you really want to touch on that we haven't talked about on this topic yet?
No, I just think it's important that people really stay true to themselves. Be who you are. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't allow anyone to pressure you to be something that you're not, or to not love what God gave you. You were made the way you were for a reason, and you have to embrace that. If you choose to make any changes about your personality or your appearance, that's a personal choice, but make sure whatever you do it for you.
Yeah, you do it for you, and it's not selfish to say no. It's not selfish to speak up about how you feel. It really helps everybody around you, including yourself, to be better people.
Exactly. I love it. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Can you let everybody know what you're working on next and where they can find you?
Absolutely. So right now I have my Bobble Butt coming out, which is a commemorative bobblehead to pretty much seal the deal on my 10-year retirement in professional women's football. And then I have a number of different things coming out, like my cookbook, my crowning ceremony, and I just hope all of you guys stay tuned.
Yeah, let them know what's your social media. It's already on the screen, but let them know where they can find you.
And you can find everything on iHeartOG.com, Instagram and Twitter, or iHeartOG as well.
Go give her a follow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Hoffman. You can always binge the show on EverTalk TV. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, I post it every Thursday to my channel, Lindsay B. Hoffman, and that across all platforms. And of course, it's my blog, doseofbliss.com. So be sure to check it out for your next Dose of Bliss, and we'll see you next time.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.